we got the Baltimore Ravens draft breakdown right here. This is a draft just off the rip that I liked overall. The Ravens always seem to do that, don't they? But
Yeah.
Malachi Starks, their first pick, really like this. Um, Obviously, Georgia defender, I'm going to like that. But it's kind of a guy who 2 years ago was insane, and there's a reason his draft stock from the very beginning was super high, and kind of I feel like took a little bit of a step down. Maybe PFF will kind of resemble that with their grades, but I just thought that was a steal. I really wanted my favorite team, the Bills, to get him, but uh, just solid player overall.
Yeah, dude. We kept thinking the Eagles would trade up and come get this guy because they love getting the steal at the end of the draft, but the Ravens snagged them up, dude. Um, this dude's an absolute stud, and I'm kind of itching to see the grades here that PFF gave him.
Yeah,
And right off the bat, I see 80s across the board on tackling. Not an issue for him. In terms of run defense, could improve, but I think he's a well-rounded safety and is gonna learn from Kyle Hamilton, learn from all the guys there in Baltimore. Um, I'm disregarding PFF a little bit here outside of the tackling because we know he can tackle, but um, to get a guy that can play the deep half and still fit the run at the same time, this is a guy that can do that, in my opinion.
yeah, and what better places to go to develop than in college in Georgia, and then go to the Ravens. So, we've seen it time and time again where guys like this get drafted. Kyle Hamilton was a known stud coming out, one of the best players in his draft, and he got picked 14th, so it's a little bit higher than this, but that felt like a fall for him whenever that draft was happening, and we know what that dude is doing. So this just seems like another guy that fell right into their laps. It's gonna come in and just make an instant impact if I had to guess. And I, I'm I hate to see it because it's a AFC. I don't know if I'd call it a rival for the Bills, but definitely a team that is contending every year, and they just got a stud right here. And I just have a good feeling that he's gonna work out in the league. He got his yearly grades there too. So yeah, it had him kind of like I said, taking a small step down, and they don't really have his grades, as anything great. They definitely like his, tackling and run defense a lot, which that's huge for safeties. They're gonna have to be in the box making plays, especially in the league when you're going against monster running backs and shit like that. You're gonna have to stick your nose in there.
Yeah, he'll fly around, stick his nose in there, and make those open field tackles that are so hard to make, man. If you can get a guy,
Yeah,
those I feel like that's so hard to come by, man.
yeah,
So
and
hard to tackle low, and he's 6'1". He's not like he's super tall, and he can't get low and hit. Like you know,
yeah, 100%. And I just love the versatility from just a pure football aspect that they have with the two safeties. Like that shit is, I can't say enough good things about this pick.
yeah, and I think everyone kind of knows what kind of player this guy is, but we also know what kind of player Mike Green is. Um, Despite the things off the field, this dude can 100% play. But we also can't disregard the things that happen off the field. And we're just going to assume by where he got drafted at 59 that it's probably not looking great off the field. I mean, I don't know, he still went in the second round. I know Isaiah Bond didn't go at all,
Yeah,
and he's been guilty of things. But um, as far as ball is concerned, Seamus, this dude, we thought he was a freaking top 10 talent, man.
yeah. This is a classic example of it. Kind of said on the draft coverage. I think it was Ian Rappaport or one of those guys said that a bunch of teams just did not like the way he answered about those allegations that he has, and so that's not good. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, I don't know. There's got to be. I mean, like you said, he was such a good prospect that you wouldn't think that he would fall to 59. So I feel like that's a definite, red flag, obviously. But if we're just talking strictly ball, it's a really good pick. And the Ravens seem to be a team that kind of is fine with taking risks with kind of like guys that might have some shit going on outside of football.
Yeah. And Seamus, I wanted to go straight down to the season grades because for anyone that didn't know, he went to Virginia and had to transfer due to allegations. But like I said, if we're talking ball only here, this dude had a 90 grade on his last 2 years at Marshall. I know that's probably an easier conference to play in, but this dude played Ohio State. Let's look at his grade at Ohio State, Seamus.
Yeah,
Not as good, but he's winning the pass rush on these guys. Josh Simmons,
yeah,
Donovan Jackson. These are guys that went in the draft, man. First round too.
yeah.
So
And when you get a guy like this, if he turns out to be a monster pass rusher and isn't necessarily great against the run, you'll take that 100%. You've seen a lot of you would see a lot of DNs and edge rushers that is their job right there. Just go win on the edge. So in terms of stopping the run, I'm sure he'll be able to do it. But I feel like it won't be as important if he's able to just be a monster in the pass game.
yeah, and you know how defense is, Seamus. Like you have subs and rotations. Mike Green would be an easy third and long sub.
Yeah, 100%. And value wise, you know, at 59, that's one of the better just strictly value picks if you go off what a lot of people thought of him in terms of their big board and whatnot.
Yeah, and unlike some of the other teams we've reviewed, Seamus, the Ravens didn't just stay on one side of the ball. They kind of went to offense or switched fairly quickly to Emory Jones Jr. This is a guy that definitely has the size to be in the league, but I also think that there's a chance that he was kind of in the shadow of Will Campbell. So this guy could be a lot better than um, where he was picked at 91 in the third round.
Yeah.
But what do you think of him in LSU?
Yeah. Well, first of all, he's young. He looks like he just turned 21. So
Yeah.
definitely a guy that, with these teams that are consistently good and consistently developing players, whenever I see them down the board get a young guy at whatever position, but O line is a huge one. It kind of makes me think that there's a good chance with a team like the Ravens that this guy's going to end up developing and being a starter to maybe even really get tackle in this league.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of information on him in terms of PFF, so we won't take too much time on Emory Jones. But they did go back to defense, and they went Teddy Buchanan,
Yeah,
a linebacker at California. Um, he's got great size and can move pretty well for linebackers. 6'2", 235, Seamus.
yeah, could probably stop
That's
the
a good
run pretty
user right
well.
there.
Yeah,
Good user. In terms of the grades, though, just right off the bat, you don't see a ton of crazy numbers, but that's not bad for a fourth round pick. Right here, you have it looks like NC State was his best game, and that's one of their bigger games of the season. So it's good that you're able 87 and a half run. Excuse me, 87 and a half overall defense grade against NC State.
yeah, that's
It's
huge.
pretty good. I know
Yeah,
that he
and
has a couple games, but
yeah, and you could see that there's definitely inconsistency in the pass, coverage game. Looks like he could rush the passer a little bit. I'm kind of assuming that he's going to be just an off the ball linebacker, but if you have that in your back pocket too, that's huge. Um, I mean, there's always going to be, it's football. It's if these guys towards the bottom were always consistent, they'd be at the top of the draft in the first. So, um, with this guy, there's no better place, and I'll say it with multiple positions to develop than the Ravens because you got Roquan Smith right there. We've seen what they did with Patrick Queen. Those are first round guys, but you know that's a team that you're going to somewhere where you can look at one of the best, if not the best, middle linebacker in the league to learn from.
All right, we're not going to go into the grades of these guys past the fourth round here for the Ravens, but their fifth round pick at 141 was Carson Vinson, uh, Alabama A&M. He's got that versatility that can slide into guard. We don't know. I will say, Seamus has said this already, but we don't know a ton about all of these guys. But we have the PFF in front of us, and we've seen the tape from the draft, and we went in and researched a little bit on these guys. But from PFF, you could tell that Carson Vincent can block very well, especially in the run game, and can play guard or tackle.
Yeah, it's just a good O line depth pick. Someone that like I've said with these late round picks, all kind of guys that you bring in hope to develop and that fit the scheme that you play and all that kind of good stuff. So Carson Vinson's a good one, and then with the sixth round, they went with a cornerback, Balil Cone out of Western Michigan, and this is another like I said, depth pick at cornerback. It says here that he allowed a completion percentage of 45.7 on throws that came his way, so that's huge. He didn't play the
Yeah.
best competition at Western Michigan, but there's been plenty of examples of late round cornerbacks that come in and end up being absolute dogs in the league. We just saw it with the Bills. I pay attention to them super closely. Obviously, they're my favorite team, but Christian Benford, he went to Villanova. That's a fucking basketball. I didn't even know they had a football team,
Yeah.
and he was a sixth round pick and ended up developing. And now he's one of the better corners in the league. Just got an extension. So with corner, we've seen it a lot. So there's a good chance that one of these corners down here could at least become a starter or something like that. Brandon Stevens, shout out
Yep.
Plano Senior High.
The P.
Um, yeah, he was I want to say a fourth round pick and developed to be a starter for them. A lot of people have not so good shit to say about him, but we've seen it before with this very team, so I could see it. Uh, with the next pick in the sixth round, I want to say it was the first kicker pick, Tyler Loop out of Arizona. And a lot of the times we'll just say fuck it and jump over the kicker, but it's kind
Not
of
this
big
time.
because arguably, if not, probably not even arguably the best kicker of all time. I'd say Vinatieri probably got him just because of the clutch moments, but Justin Tucker, the automatic, didn't even have to think about him missing shit is just not the same anymore. So it's kind of crazy, but it looks like there's a chance that, Tucker in Baltimore might be not a thing anymore. And it says that he hit on 6 of 9 50-plus yard field goals this last season. And he missed a couple extra points on, that might happen here and there. I wouldn't read too much into that. If you're a kicker getting picked in the draft, you must be pretty good in college. So it's kind of crazy, but we might be seeing the end of an era with Justin Tucker.
It is crazy, but if the allegations are true, then I'm excited for Tyler Loop's future in Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
for
forgot
the
that. Yeah. Fuck, I
yeah,
forgot that he had some shit. Yeah. If that's true, then get him out of there.
you get him out.
Get him out
But
of coach.
for their next sixth rounder, they got LaJonte Wester at Colorado. As soon as I see Wester, I just think about that catch that he had on that Hail Mary for Colorado. I know there was a lot of hype around them for a while in college,
Yeah.
but dude, any of those dudes that played at Colorado have serious potential. If Dion saw it, then the league is seeing it here. Obviously, the
Yeah.
league didn't see Shador's as well as we thought, but
Crazy.
yeah, go watch the Browns video if you want to hear our take on that. But
Yeah, that'll probably be the longest one, honestly.
yeah,
But yeah, I agree with you about, Colorado, especially receivers having a ton of potential. There was 3 of them picked in this draft, so that was the most out of any team in this particular draft. So, you know, I think Lejante, especially going to the Ravens, a team that, could definitely use another weapon in the receiver room. This is another one where it's like I would not be surprised if maybe even this year, but a couple of years down the line, we're looking at this dude as one of their starting receivers.
Yeah, 100%. And Seamus, on to their next pick. I'm kind of excited about it just from what I've read up on him. Aeneas Peebles. This dude is a finesse interior guy. And man, I feel like it'll be. This is obviously we want to see this guy play on Sundays eventually, but in terms of practice, I would like to see an interior rush in Lamar's face. I feel like we never see Lamar dealing with a crazy amount of pressure because the Ravens have done such a great job protecting him, and that comes with great run game and play action and just Lamar's versatility. But um, this will be a good look in practice if they're able to get an interior rush in Lamar's face with Aeneas from Virginia Tech, man.
Yeah, that's an underrated factor that no one talks about, but is big. Um, if we move on to their next 6 rounder, only 2 picks later at 212, Robert Longerbeam out of Rutgers. He's a corner, and you got 2 6-round corners right here. They had a shitload of 6-round picks.
Yeah,
So, you heard my little spew about 6-round corners, and I think it applies with this guy too. He's a slot guy, so kind of in a different stratosphere and realm as Balil Cone, but I think that getting the slot guy is huge. The slot cornerback is used so much in the league. It's almost pretty much. It feels like almost every play now, unless the team's getting big. But getting another slot guy, try to develop him. I like it.
yeah, and it feels like the Ravens are in kind of a transition phase as far as where it goes at corner. Uh, Nate Wiggins was a year two guy,
Yeah,
and then why am I blanking on his name, dude?
Marlon
Marlon
Humphrey.
Humphrey. Yeah,
Yeah,
Marlon Humphrey. He's getting older too, so you're starting to see a new wave of corners for Baltimore, and I like that they're loading up on these late round picks because these are the guys that are going to give time to develop, assuming they make the 53-man roster, which I'm sure they will. But Seamus, overall, like, what do you think about their draft? I feel like we both agree that they freaking like nailed it on these first couple picks, man.
yeah. I once again the Ravens do what they do. One of those squads that it just always seems to be having good drafts, and that's why they're so good. They just have a good, they just have a good situation going in Baltimore, and they have our entire lives pretty much. So it's really no surprise here that they did it once again. Quick shout out to their 7th-round pick guard Garrett Dellinger out of LSU. I mean, we don't even have to talk about him, but hopefully he works out for him.
Yeah.
But those first couple picks, like Malachi is one of my favorite, first-round picks. So anytime you can get a steal, in my opinion, at the top of the draft like that, it's instantly going to make the rest of the draft look really good. And it just so happens that I think the rest of the draft was really good.
Yeah, I apologize. We left Garrett Dellinger out. It's because of his injury. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to steal, man.
No,
Fucking
but like I said, the Ravens do have a lot of versatility on offense, so it allows for a slower pass rush because they're not sure if they need to play the run, watch Lamar on a spy, or shoot the gap. So I think that's a great benefit to anyone that the Ravens get on offensive line. But I'm excited to see what all these guys do, man. I know
yeah,
you are too, Seamus.
yeah. We're gonna be breaking down each team and I'm gonna look back at this whenever one of these, like, not one, it'll probably be multiple. It always is, late round guys pop off in the beginning of the year. Imagine if we were doing this when the Rams picked Puka in the 5th round. We'll be talking about him as maybe a receiver that could be solid down the
Yeah.
line, and then he's instantly one of the best receivers in the league. So, yeah, I'm just excited to see who works out, especially down the draft board.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like it, then like it. And subscribe if you want to see more stuff. Me and Seamus are grinding these out for every team. And we're learning along the way. So we're
Let us
enjoying it.
know if you disagreed, have any ideas for us, anything like that. Shout out the Ravens fans. Hopefully y'all liked your draft.